Hey everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be talking about some books that I need yesterday, I need the day before yesterday, I need today. Basically, some books that I just can't wait for. I don't normally film videos sitting on my floor, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling very lazy. I have had a week for numerous reasons, one of them being that my computer decided to stop working yesterday, so I spent literally like 16 hours trying to fix it because I had at least 6 videos on it that I thought I had lost. Thankfully, I was able to get them back, like thankfully, but basically that was just so exhausting and stressful and it was a nightmare. So I don't have the energy to move my chair over here. So I was like, you know what? We're just gonna deal with what might be crappy lighting and I'm just gonna sit on the floor and film this video. That's where we're at now. But you know what? I'm gonna celebrate the little victories, and that is the fact that I'm filming this video. I wasn't even really gonna do it. I was gonna put it off more, but I was like, no, you need to do it. So here I am. These books aren't like, usually when I do anticipated releases video, I do like by spring or summer or whatever, but these are literally, it's just a list of books that I'm excited about because I've said this in like many videos before, but I think that celebrating the little things, getting excited about things, that is what's keeping me going right now. So the release dates for these are as good as I could do. They might change because some release dates have been changing a lot recently, but as of now, they are coming out whenever I say. So it would have been much easier for me to just move the chair over, but instead I stacked 2 pillows for me to sit on because my legs were starting to fall asleep. But let's just get into this list so then I don't lose my mind over the course of this video. So the first book is Majesty by Katharine McGee. This is the sequel to American Royals, which I read last month, and actually I listened to the audiobook for it and it was tons of fun. Super dramatic. It's an alternate history, or not alternate history so much. Well, I guess it is kind of alternate history. Basically, it is kind of answering the question, like, what if George Washington had been offered a crown instead of been offered the presidency? That sentence grammatically was a mess, but I mean, so am I. But basically, what if he became king and then the descendants of him are still on the throne years later? So that's the whole premise for it. It's like a twisted, tangled web of drama, of romance, of all of that stuff. Such a fun read. So I'm definitely excited for the sequel, especially because the other book left off on such a cliffhanger. So I'm like, what is gonna happen? But I will find out on September 1st. So like, I have a long wait ahead of me. Next is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I am so freaking excited for this book. So I knew when she was writing something, I'm pretty sure I knew that it was set in Garden Heights. This, oh my gosh, I'm super pumped for. So it's kind of, I mean, it's not really a historical fiction, but it's a prequel kind of to The Hate You Give because it follows 17-year-old Mav, who is the dad in The Hate You Give. And I am so excited to learn more about him. He was always a very intriguing character to me in The Hate You Give, and I loved her family unit. So getting to know more about her father is going to be super interesting, especially because he did get into some trouble, and I'm interested to see how that happened, like how he turned things around. And I know that there's definitely going to be some social commentary in this book because that's what Angie Thomas does best, and I'm super excited to read this. So this one is coming out January 21st, 2021. So there's still a ways to go, but at least it is at the beginning of the year. Next is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This has been super anticipated. I'm pretty sure that she has been working on this book for like literally ever, for years and years and years, and it is finally coming out on October 6th. This story is set in France in 1714, and it follows Addie LaRue, and she has made a bargain where she gets to live forever, but the cost of that bargain is that she is doomed to be forgotten by everyone she ever meets. That, like, how? Like, how do you even write a story surrounding that when literally everyone she's going to meet is going to forget her immediately, and she's gonna have to like keep on introducing herself again? And like, I don't know how. Like, I have no clue how that's gonna work, to be honest, but I'm super excited to see how it's gonna go. I can't wait. I am have kind of mixed feelings about Victoria Schwab. Some of her books don't really mesh with me that well, but I think that this one has a lot of potential to be something that I'd really enjoy. Honestly, I can see the comments now talking about how I keep on touching my hair. I'm sorry, I think I left the conditioner in too long when I showered because it's just super soft, and that means that it does that. It goes everywhere. So I keep touching it, but I know you guys hate when I touch my hair, but I always touch my hair. So I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm not gonna stop. I can't. I could put it up, yes, but I don't like how it looks, so. Anyways, next is My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies, aka Cynthia Hand, Brodi, Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. This is, I don't know if it's the last book. I really hope it's not, but they have written 2 books before this. It's not really a series, but it's basically just different historical fiction, humorous stories surrounding Janes from history. So the first one is My Lady Jane, which was about Lady Jane Grey. The second one is My Plain Jane, which is Jane Eyre. And then this one is Calamity Jane. So it's surrounding Calamity Jane. It's set in the Wild West of America. I forget what year it's set in, but it has Calamity Jane. It has, what was his name? Frank? Yeah, Frank, Pistol Prince Butler, and Annie Oakley. So super excited for this. I'm gonna be honest, it's not like my favorite time period. I'm not generally that interested in stuff during the Wild West sort of era, but I am like obviously going to give it a chance because I think I'll probably love it because I've loved the other 2 books so much. They're so funny and inventive, satirical stories, like unlike anything I've read in the YA genre, and I think that's part of the reason why I keep falling in love with them. And I think reading about something that I don't know that much about is going to make it that much more enjoyable, because Lady Jane Grey I didn't really know anything about either, and My Lady Jane I fell in love with. This is coming out June 2nd, so luckily there's not too much longer to go, and I cannot wait. I don't remember if I pre-ordered it or not. I'm gonna have to check, but if not, I will definitely be ordering it the second that it is released. Next is House of Dragons by Jessica Cluess. This is coming out May 12th, so in a couple of days, as long as this video goes out when I'm anticipating it'll go out, that book will be out. But Jessica Cluess, I've read 1 book by her before, and that is A Shadow Bright and Burning, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I am willing to give her another chance. I think that just may not have been the book for me. So this follows a liar, a soldier, a servant, a thief, and a murderer. So kind of that like typical fantasy thing that you see, but I fall for it pretty much every time. But they are all outcasts that have come to compete for the dragon throne. So they're competing in these trials to get on the dragon throne. Usually the dragon throne would go to someone in a certain bloodline, but now it's been opened up for some reason. Honestly, dragons is kind of why I'm interested in this. I don't know if it actually has dragons in it, but the fact that it's called the Dragon Throne, I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty, you know, there will probably be dragons. The book is even called House of Dragons. I'm anticipating dragons. There might not be dragons, which will probably be really disappointing, but fingers crossed for dragons. Next is Cinderella is Dead by Kalynn Bayron. I can't say that. I've literally tried so many times. Kalynn Bayron, and it is coming out on July 7th. This is kind of a Cinderella retelling. So Cinderella happened 200 years earlier, and after finding the prince, like all that stuff, now annually all teenage girls have to go to this ball, and there they're supposed to find a suitor, and their suitor chooses them based on like their charms or whatever. So if they're not chosen, then they're never heard from again. I don't know what happens to them. Like, that is so ominous. I have no clue. So the main character, Sophia, wants to marry her best friend. She has no interest in participating in this tomfoolery, so she decides to run away, which good on ya, I would do the same thing. But when she runs away, she ends up coming across the final descendant of Cinderella, and together they join to try and stop this cycle of like weirdness with the marriages and stuff, and along the way they're gonna uncover some secrets. I'm super intrigued by this plotline. It sounds like a really interesting twist on the typical Cinderella story, which I'm definitely very familiar with, so I really want to see what it's gonna do with it. Next is Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. I did not know that Marissa Meyer was coming out with a new book until recently, and I'm really excited for it because it's a romantic contemporary, which is very different for her. She has Renegades, and then she has the Lunar Chronicles, and both of those are sci-fi sort of fantasy stories. So the fact that she's writing in a different genre is very intriguing, and I'm interested to see what she's going to do with contemporary. However, it does kind of still have a magical, fantastical twist. So it's about a girl who has been gifted with the ability to inflict karma on anyone that she meets, whether it's good or bad karma. I feel like that's going to be really interesting to see play out, and definitely I can see that having some bad repercussions. So this book is coming out on November 3rd, and I'm excited to read it. Next is Again by E. Lockhart. This is coming out on June 2nd, and the synopsis is really confusing. So what I got from it is that there was this terrible catastrophe that happened to the main character's family, and now somehow she is living like the same day or the same summer, I think, over and over again, and she has a ton of romances in that time. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but this is by the author of We Were Liars, and she had another book come out in between We Were Liars and this one, but I was never really interested in it. But this one seems a little bit more up my alley. I am not sure I understand exactly what it's about, but that's kind of how I felt about We Were Liars too, and I ended up really enjoying it, so I feel like I'll just go into it and find out for myself. Next is Forest of Souls by Lori M. Lee, which is coming out on June 23rd. This follows Saoirse, who is training to be the Queen's royal spy, which is super cool. I love that kind of twist on a typical fantasy, but all of her plans end up being derailed when a shaman kills her best friend, and because of that happening, it's unveiled that she has these secret powers. So she is the first soul guide in living memory, and she is then summoned by the Spider King. Who is the Spider King? I don't know, but like, I want to know. I feel like I struggle so much with fantasy synopsises, and like certain synopsises I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me, but like, I am interested. I'm on board with it. Next is Love and Olives by Jenna Evans Welch, which is coming out July 7th, and I'm so excited for this book. I didn't know it was happening until I was kind of looking at books that I was excited for, and I was like, oh my god, did not know this was a thing. But this is the author of Love and Gelato and Love and Luck, which are two different travel stories. That the one is set in Florence, and then the other one is set in Ireland. I don't remember if it was Dublin specifically, but both of them were such great stories. She writes really good travel stories that have an extra layer to them, and this one I think is going to be the same. So it is set in Santorini, and Greece is somewhere that I've never been, but I'm dying to go to. It's one of the top places on my travel list, so I'm super excited to escape to there through this book. But it follows a main character who is connecting with her estranged father, and she's traveling to Greece to do that. He has been funded by the National Geographic for his Atlantis theories, and she's going to help him with that. So there's kind of some awkwardness there, obviously, because he's estranged, but it's about them reconnecting, and also there's some romance in there. Pretty typical for her, but like, I'm really excited for this book. I am so glad that there's another one, and I can't wait to see what one she's gonna do next. I hope she does one in the Netherlands, because that would be amazing. Next is Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar, and this one is coming out on August 11th. So it follows a girl who is part star and part mortal, and it is kind of described as a blend of Hindu mythology with Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So she is going on this quest to try and save her father. I'm super interested in the mythology part of this, and also the fact that she's part star. I don't know what that really means. I mean, I guess I should have seen that from the title. It's literally Star Daughter, but I don't think that much about things, so I didn't realize it. But now I have thought about it, and now I realize my mistake. Next is The Other Side of the Sky by Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. This is an author duo that I've read all of their books so far. Actually, I never read the sequel to Unearthed, but I did like Unearthed. I just never got around to the second one. But this new book is coming out on September 8th, and it's described as kind of a mashup of a bunch of different genres. So there's a city that exists in the sky. It's like this technological city, and then there's a goddess on Earth that keeps the people tethered there. There's like a prince in the sky. Once again, this was a very confusing synopsis for me. Some of them are like so hard for me to summarize, and this was definitely one of them. But I know I will be picking up this book no matter what, pretty much, because I do trust their writing, and I have enjoyed what they've written before, and I kind of like the idea that it's a mashup of different genres. I feel like it's going to be a really unique story, and I'm interested to discover what the synopsis is really trying to tell me. Next is Splinters of Scarlet by Emily Bain Murphy, which is coming out July 21st. I'm super excited for this book. It's set in 19th century Denmark, and it follows a girl who is a seamstress, and she becomes a seamstress for this family that her father used to work for. It's this really rich family, but she has a motive behind that. Her father died while working for that family in their jewel mines, and she's trying to discover just what actually happened to him. I think there's also a magical twist to the story, so I think that's going to be really cool. It kind of makes me think of Spin the Dawn with the whole Taylor thing, but we'll see. I haven't read Spin the Dawn yet either because I'm horrible at reading. Next is The Sullivan Sisters by Katharine Ormsby. This cover is so freaking gorgeous. And once again, it's a synopsis that confuses me. I feel like that makes me seem so dumb, but like some of these synopsises, I'm like, what? Like they're all over the place. Maybe it's just me being tired, or maybe I just am dumb. I don't know. But this is coming out June 3rd, and it follows three sisters who had this whole family crisis happen, and they were really close, but now they're kind of far apart, but then they have to come together again to try and figure out what's happening in this crisis. I love stories about sisters, so that's honestly why I'm interested in this one, and I'm not gonna lie, that cover literally is what made me look into it. Next is Smash It by Francina Simone, who is also a booktuber, so definitely check her out. She's awesome. If you haven't watched her videos, she's so nice. And this book is coming out September 23rd, and I'm super excited about it. So the main character is tired of letting her insecurities hold her back, and she creates this list, the F It list, which she just has a bunch of stuff that she's going to do to try and get herself out of her shell. And one of the things that she ends up doing is joining her school's production of Othello. So I think it's an Othello retelling. I don't know if I'm just making that up, but either way, I'm so excited for it. Knowing Francina, this is going to be such an amazing book, and I can't wait to read it. Also, it's coming out September 22nd, not the 23rd. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Next is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, which is coming out October 27th. I didn't know that Carrie Maniscalco was coming out with a new book at all until like it came up on my newsfeed on Goodreads, and I was like, oh, okay, yay. So I'm super excited for this. She is the author of Stalking Jack the Ripper, which I really enjoyed, and this is a completely different story for her. So it deals with witches and these twin witches, and they live as witches in regular society, but they have to hide their powers, so no one actually knows that they're witches. I've said witches like 12 times, but the one witch, she ends up finding her twin sister witch brutally murdered, so she goes and tries to discover what happened to her and will do anything to try and uncover the mystery, even if that means using dark forbidden magic. I loved Stalking Jack the Ripper so much. I'm hoping this will have a similar really good steamy romance to it, but I also am really intrigued by that sister plotline. And finally is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is coming out May 19th, so not too long of a wait. But Emily Henry is the author of, why can't I think of it, A Million Junes, and she also co-authored a book, Hello Girls. I wasn't a big fan of Hello Girls, but I really like A Million Junes. Now this is an adult romance by her, so not YA. Her other books have been YA, so I'm really intrigued by that, but the concept for it is amazing. So there's a romance writer who is stuck in a rut, and then there is a literary fiction writer who is also stuck in a rut. So both of them are suffering from writer's block. So they go away to try and get some inspiration, and they end up meeting each other, and they end up deciding to challenge each other. So the romance writer is going to spend the summer trying to write a literary fiction novel, the next great American novel, and the literary fiction writer is going to write a romance novel. So that's their summer mission, is to take each other's writing specialties basically and try and get out of writer's block by doing that. I think that sounds so fun. Like it's going to be like a lot of hilarity, but I love the writer's block idea too. I think it's going to be a super relatable story for me as a writer, and I'm really excited for it. So those are all the books that I am really looking forward to right now. Obviously there are probably a lot of books that I missed on this list, but these are just the ones that came to mind, and they are definitely up there for ones that I can't wait to read. So please let me know what book you are the most excited for right now. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!